Yeah, we we had a Thursday night football game. That happened. Falcons came back from 20 freaking 8 to 14 and won, even though they set a franchise personal record of penalties. They still flipping won. Yeah, that inexplicable fumble that everybody is asking. How the did the Falcons recover that play? I saw there was a meme. There's a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire meme. I think that was Steve Harvey in the top, and said, "Who recovered the fumble in this play? Bucs player, uh, Howard the Duck." I forget what the other choice was, and then I think it was like what Shrek or something, and then you had Bucs player. So, oh boy, but yeah, so not a good look for the Bucs. All of a sudden, you had the short week, you had the very inexcusable loss to the Saints. Todd Bowles, needless to say, not happy. His seat getting even toastier after that horrid loss. You had the video of Mike Evans slamming the helmet against the wall, going third and 28, yelling into the locker room. You wonder if that's going to speed up and hasten his retirement. And like, yeah, I've kind of had enough of that. But well, we talked about the reality. Got to talk about the fantasy. Let's start off with the Bucks. Baker Mayfield in the loss still. Not a bad night. 17 fantasy points. Got sacked. Had some picks. Not exactly what you would call a picture perfect night still. Put up the numbers, and I have to look at the screen. Well, one tends to have vision, how shall we say, challenges. One has vision challenges. One has kind of look at the screen a little bit closer. But 17 points, it's not bad. He's had better nights. He's had worse nights. It was a sexy night fantasy, sexy night. It evolved into a good game. Kind of had a slow slug start, but it evolved into a good game. But yep, Baker in the loss, not what you would call a horrible fantasy night. Bucky Irving, of course, 16 fantasy points, and yeah, we're sort of looking at the receiving and the rushing, kept out of the end zone. Of course, you had Sean Tucker kind of sniping that way, but Bucky Irving definitely had the volume. He had the targets. So yeah, he definitely must start going forward. Good time for him to come back to the fantasy championships. Then a big move, Abuka, of course, 13 fantasy points kept out of the end zone. Lesai, yes, you're used to it. You're used to it. The Bucks have more mouths to feed now. They get McMillan back, Godwin back, Evans back, and all of a sudden Abuka is not the main focus of Baker Mayfield as much as he was early in the season when it was Abuka and Tez and Cameron Johnson and Sterling Shepard. And Abuka was clearly the star of that bunch. Now all of a sudden, Evans back, McMillan, Godwin's getting healthier, closer to his prime time self. So yeah, speaking of Godwin, of course, boom shakalaka. Godwin ended up, had a touchdown if I remember. Had a touchdown. I'm kind of surprised why it's not showing up here, but I distinctly remember that he had a touchdown as we go to the game log. The game log will be going down. 14. Yeah, he did. I remember he had a touchdown against Hot Atlanta. How about that? So nice to see Godwin back rocking and rolling in the end zone. Mike Evans, of course, going to the game log. Had himself a pretty darn decent return. Kept out in the end zone, but a buck 32 A buck 32 update. Update your players, Yahoo. Update your players because you go to the game log, they have the stats. Once you go right to the players, that's not updated. And of course, Baker, we now have the proper numbers as of course we go to the passing for Atlanta 277, two TDs, and yeah, one pick. So not what you'd call a bad night. You're looking back on some of those other nights. Better night than at New Orleans. Better day than at Arizona. Better day than at the Rams. So, and just about anything is better than that game against the Rams. But yeah, better game than against what Buffalo, not against New England. Definitely better than against the Week 8 game against New Orleans. And playing two more games against the Panthers and against the Dolphins. Baker might be an interesting start in fantasy. How about Rashad White? How about Rashad White as yeah, bit of a disappointing night. It was all the Buckster. Three fantasy points. You started him. You were not happy camper. Just 20 flipping yards and like one catch for six. So not what you call sexy. Not a lot. And that's pretty much it. As Jalen McMillan didn't do a lot. He did have a overturned touchdown early. So that's showing that he definitely is building up and is worth a start going forward. The touchdown could have saved his fantasy night, but yeah, all right, and let's go to the unfortunately, yeah, the winning team, the Atlanta Falcons. You had B. John. You were sad as a Bucs fan, but you were happy as a fantasy player. And as we know, go right to the game log because that is updated. 29 points, almost fantasy, 30 fantasy points, as you had 93 rushing yards. Boom, and a nice touchdown to boot. And a little bit of passing yards, 82. 82. So he helped you out big time. Kyle Pitts got pretty much all the end zone action tonight. I didn't have to go against him in any league, thank God, because he was freaking insane. How about Kirk Cousins? Got you a pretty decent night, 25-92. Better than Baker. 373. Holy cannoli. 373. Three touchdowns and zero picks, unlike Baker. Perfect in the night and even had apparently a little 44 rushing yards. So Kirk Cousins, a little bit more like the prime Kirk. Then you had, of course, Kyle freaking Pitts. Hopefully he wasn't on your bench. 40. How many points? 45. 45. That has to be a weak league winner. 45 flipping points in the Atlanta win. Numbers are, boy, 166 and 366 three. So I had PPR volume and got in the end zone three times and probably cooked a whole bunch of managers. Okay, he's only Kyle, but how dangerous could he possibly be? Oh boy. And we had the little Darnell Mooney, who, not what you would call great night. Just five, almost six fantasy points, 35 yards. Had the targets, just wasn't able to do much with them. Tyler Algier, of course, you didn't have to worry about him sniping away all the touchdowns from Bijan tonight. That was taken care of by Kyle Pitts. As yeah, no, zero touchdowns and not a lot of work. Not a lot of work. Not even two fantasy points, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the fantasy fallout. You had a bunch of fantasy fallout. You had a bunch. Well, yeah, Bucs going forward. Bucs going forward. They need to get a three-game winning streak, and that's going to be tough because they have Panthers. Panthers are showing they're too legit to quit this year. David Canal doing work, showing why he is made the main man up there in Carolina. Bucs have to face the Panthers home and away. Oh boy, that will not be an easy task by any stretch of the imagination. this year. And then sandwiching in between that, you have a surprisingly good Dolphins team. I don't think the Dolphins are going to beat the Steelers this week. Don't think that that's going to happen. Going to take a lot of crazy stuff. And again, we saw crazy stuff this game. Didn't initially think that the Falcons could beat the Bucs 3-28. I'm there with Mike Evans. 3-28. Yo. But yeah, that game happened. Then, of course, Dolphins sandwiched in between those two Panther games, and Dolphins suddenly good. Suddenly good, fighting for Mike McDaniels. They want him back in 2026. That locker room is getting behind him. They're getting behind Tua. And Dolphins, all of a sudden, dangerous. Achan banged up, but of course, Daniel saying that he could have come back in, but maybe just sort of holding him back for precautionary measure. And is he going to be on some kind of load management for this week? So something to think about fantasy wise. Something to think about Jalen Wright. Will he be getting more of the snap share count to help out with Achan's rib injury? Kind of help to mitigate that a little bit. But first puzzle piece of week 15 answered. Not a good puzzle piece for my Bucs. Like any stretch of the imagination, Todd Bowles, anything but happy in that press conference. One person understanding, but let an F bomb or two out if that's accurate and somebody's not making up AI slop that you just have to watch for. It's sort of like this whole Michigan story because I was watching Pat McAfee saying that somehow he actually had AI generated mugshots of Sharon. That's insane. Yikes. But yeah, that whole cray situation that to probably talk a little bit about with flying on the Shuffle podcasts. But yeah, that whole crazy situation just out of nowhere, all of a sudden Sharon is coach. Then he wasn't coach. He had the investigation, and he's jailed. And he's jailed. And I'm not going to speculate on the alleged allegations until you have a statement, until police, until things come out because it's safe and that's the responsible way to report on something rather than okay, well, this allegation and here's what TMZ said and this is what this site said and that's what this video said and that site and this tweet or X or whatever you call it now because I saw that X is trying to eliminate Twitter from their platform and they're just gonna be X and just one of the worst rebrands ever. Just keep it Twitter, yo. Just keep it freaking Twitter. And the site is just, you can't even search. I think searching must be like a verified thing. In order to search, I'm guessing you have to pay now. You have to pay to stream, you have to pay for a whole bunch of stuff. It's like you have enough subscriptions out there as it is. Everything is a flippin' subscription. Because you see some, ooh, this looks like an interesting idea. And in order to get the full features of our site, you need to let me upgrade. And if you have enough upgrades, it's like, yeah, you're broke. Everything is an upgrade to the upgrade. Because I tried Riverside for a trial, and it was cool. Liked all the bells and whistles, but it's like basically $40 a month. Because when something is $39, that's basically 40. It's like something $39.99. Okay, that's 40, and it's like yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's decent. I like the platform. I like the delivery, but just everything is subscription premium upgrade to unlock the full features. Yikes! But anywho, unplanned final thought rant there. But yeah, so here we are, and Bucks have themselves a task or two ahead. Think they can beat the Panthers once, twice. Don't know about. Dolphins will prove to be interesting if the Bucks defense can step up, unlike freaking tonight, letting the Atlanta Falcons come back from 28 to freaking 14 and a third and 28. Inexcusable. How did the Falcons get that stupid fumble? Okay, yep. Friday. Let's see what crazy crap develops today. That's today. Every day on the internet, you got about sports, current events. That's why you like sports. It is sort of an oasis from current events. all that crazy crap going on. But yeah, let's see what develops today. And all the Bucs can do is win and not F up going forward if they want to win the NFC South. I think we might be having a little bit of a coaching change at the top at the end of the year when it's Black Monday. I just have a feeling. I have a feeling. And I'm Joel Verlin. Hope you have a good Friday. Talk to you later on the Sports Shuffle. And I am recovering from that loss because that sucked.